Welcome to Riding the Trauma Train, or welcome back if we've shared this space before. I'm Lydia, your host and fellow passenger in this journey of self-healing, inner strength and personal growth. This podcast is a safe, judgment-free space dedicated to the realities of living with and healing from trauma. Through personal stories and in-depth conversations with special guests, including therapists, healers, practitioners, and fellow survivors, we look at what healing can truly look like in everyday life. We explore realistic healing journeys and share simple, sustainable practices and actionable tools to support your well-being along the way. So grab your ticket, take a seat, and remember you are not on this journey alone. Welcome back to Riding the Trauma Train. I'm Lydia, your host and fellow passenger on this journey towards self-healing, inner strength and personal growth. Episode is all about self-sabotage. And when self-sabotage kind of goes from the kind of little tiny, oh my gosh, this is happening, to self-destruction. Now, like when your self-sabotage literally turns into that moment when you need to catch yourself before you derail. But yeah, when you are in the kind of self-sabotage spiral and you feel that you're okay, you kind of know that something's going on, but you're like, no, okay. But then actually, that moment, you're not just slipping up, you're literally repeating the patterns that you know are hurting you. And it doesn't just go from the moment that, okay, I know this is hurting me, I need to stop. I know this is hurting me, blah, blah, blah. It's already automatic. Like, where do we go with that? If you think about it, this is not because you don't care. This is not because you're lazy or broken. A lot of the time, it's your nervous system trying to protect you, and just in ways that no longer serve you, no longer show up for reasons that they should be showing up. I want to talk about the different aspects of our brain. Now, if you are anyone that has been through trauma, anyone that has been on any kind of self-sabotage, I don't know, spiral, these things are going to resonate with you. There is a book called The Chimp Paradox from Professor Steve Peters, and he talks about different elements of your brain. And you've got the chimp, you've got the rational you, and then you've also got your autopilot. So the book is amazing. I would recommend you highly that you go and read it, because if you're somebody that does go down like a self-sabotage route, it's going to help you in so many different ways. So what I'm going to do on this little journey is I'm going to talk to you about those elements, but I'm also going to add the train metaphor, which would be wrong if I didn't, because this is riding the trauma train. Your chimp, which is the toddler, that is going to be your runaway carriage. The autopilot is the thing that's like just there and it's always been there and it's going to keep going. That's your established tracks. They're there. You've been on them. You've carried on them for miles. Like they've just been there for years and years and years. That is your autopilot. And then we're going to go on to you. I don't know if you can watch. I don't know what's going on with my glasses. Every now and again, they're like full. Anyway, so you are the train driver. You're on a train, you've got to drive that train. There are three different elements. You've got the runaway carriage, which is your chimp. You've got the autopilot, which is your established tracks. And then you've got you, the train driver. It's really, really difficult when you're in that moment of self-sabotage that you've got these three things going on and you don't quite know what to do. You want to do one thing, your established tracks, so your autopilot is automatically doing something else, and then you've got your runaway carriage just like, yeah, I don't want to do that, I'm going to do this. So that is what we're going to talk about. The problem isn't that the chimp or the runaway carriage exists. It's when it starts driving the whole train without you noticing. Now, self-sabotage becomes self-destruction when it stops feeling like it's a choice and it starts feeling like a pattern that you literally cannot interrupt. Let us talk about how you can actually stop that moment, okay? This is where your inner voice kind of stops being occasional and starts being constant. It starts literally narrating your life. Things like, what's the point? I'm going to mess it up anyway. Do you know what? And if you're somebody that does experience trauma, a lot of these voices aren't even originally yours. I'm just going to let that resonate with you for just a second. If you are somebody that has been through trauma, a lot of these negative voices are not even originally yours. Now, does that hit? Does that kind of hit you in the pit of your stomach? Because I know it does me. Absolutely 5,000% know that that hits me where it hurts. So then you've got to think, you go through all these things, and then you've got the derail moment. Like you believe that thought, and then you stop trying, and then the cycle continues. You believe the thought, you stop trying, and then the cycle continues. Now, this could be about so many different things. Now, in all honesty, I can relate this to food for me. Now, food still is kind of trying not to let it be, but food has always been my lifeline. I felt rubbish, I'd have a chocolate bar. I felt good, I'll go out for dinner. I felt like I was sad. Oh my gosh, what's my favorite food? Food has always been this kind of go to, but it's always been my self sabotage because in my actual brain, in my me brain, driving of the train brain, I have always wanted to be the person that's like, I want to be fit, I want to be healthy, I want to be the person that is eating all the nutrients, getting all the vitamins and vitamins if you're in America. But it's really, really difficult because when I'm in that self sabotage moment, I am literally going for the things that I know I shouldn't be having. And that is the cycle. That is where the cycle continues. And I know there are a lot of people that like food is one thing, alcohol is another. Doom scrolling. Oh my God. Like this is such a new concept, but doom scrolling is another massive, massive concept to the cycle of self sabotage because you could be doing something that is really, really, really positive or that productive, positive and productive, and then you get onto like what we're on, or on a TikTok or an Instagram reel, and then all of a sudden you're doom scrolling going quick, 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 and it's 3 seconds or 10 seconds of instant dopamine. Anyway, I've digressed. You know what I'm saying? Like with the whole like cycle element of it. If you are in a cycle and you believe something and then you stop trying, literally, it's gonna keep going on and on and on. And that is frustrating. It's so frustrating because when it is a self-sabotage concept, like that is one thing. Then if you add self-destruction, you're not just harming yourself at that moment, you're harming other people around you. And that's not good. That's not good. And I know that if you are anything like me, the last thing that you are ever, ever going to want to do is hurt someone else. And especially if you've been through trauma, you have been hurt. You have been hurt time and time again. And the last thing that you want to do is to hurt someone else. When you do go through those moments, self sabotage becomes self destruction when it stops feeling like a choice and it starts feeling like a pattern that you can't interrupt. So let's talk about how you can actually spot that moment. Okay. We've got the runaway carriage. That's what we're going to call it in this episode. It's going to be called the runaway carriage. This is where your inner voice stops being occasional and it's constant, like absolutely constant. And it starts literally narrating your life. Now, that could be, I don't know, what's the point? why should I do that? I'm gonna mess up anyway. Believe it, you stop trying and the cycle continues. Pause. When you get to that moment, like pause and name it. Like obviously I've referenced the chimp paradox. Some people say it's their chimp. Some people go down the whole TikTok route and say, hi Karen. Sorry to any Karens that are listening. We love you. But like name it something. I think there's a lady that actually does mental health and she is like on this one of those skating platform things. My point is call it something. It could be Dave, it could be, I don't know, Griselda. Anything that makes it something. You know what I mean? Like when you say, not today. So pause, name it that something. I'm gonna name mine fail file. For the purpose of this episode, I am going to call my moment, my disbelief, horrendous negative voice, nail file. Okay. So if anyone's listening to this, or if, sorry, not if you're listening, if you're watching, I have an old school nail file, and that is going to be what I'm going to call it. I'm going to have to put it on my laptop because otherwise I will forget. So I'm going to put that pink side and a black side inside out because my laptop is black. That is what I'm going to do. So we've got that. I've named it. It's nail file. And just because it is loud, it doesn't mean it's true. Okay? Remember that. It does not mean it's true. Take a breath. So then you've got like avoidance and when like patterns emerge. This is where you start avoiding like things that could move you forward, but you don't. So when you procrastinate, oh my gosh, that is like me. Oh my God, I am the biggest procrastinator ever. It's really, really frustrating, but it is. That is one of my downfalls. If you also know that that is one of your things, then think about it. Think about what you're procrastinating about, and then also think about like why? Why am I procrastinating? What is it about this particular thing that is stopping me from moving forward? You literally cancel stuff or you don't show up. That's not something I've ever not done because I'm quite a people pleaser, if that makes sense. And I also don't like to hurt other people's feelings. So if I don't like generally not show up, but if that is something that you do because you can't face the consequence of sending that message or the consequence of avoiding the situation, then obviously have a think about that. The point of all those things are that avoidance feels safe. Like if you don't show up, if you don't do the thing, if you cancel something because you don't want to be there, that makes me feel safe again. I don't have to do that thing that I don't want to do. So I'm happy in my own little bubble. That may feel safe at that particular time, but that is going to stop you from moving forward for so much longer. And it's going to shrink your world. It's going to shrink what you want to achieve, all because of that one tiny moment. And when you do that, bringing it back to like the train analogy, is you're derailing your life. Your life will get smaller and then your confidence will drop. And then when your confidence drops and you keep sending out those moments of, I'm going to cancel this, I'm going to procrastinate this, I'm not even going to answer this, that is when the other emotion comes in and you start feeling shame. You start feeling guilt. And when you start feeling those things, alongside the fact that you didn't go to it, alongside the fact that you procrastinated, like you've got double whammy. And why? Why should you go through that double whammy? You don't deserve that. And other people around you don't deserve that. Like literally the shame and the guilt that comes with just not showing up when actually, you really did want to show up. You were just feeling a bit crappy. You didn't. That's when you need to like sit back and be like, okay, what am I actually trying not to feel? What am I actually trying not to face when I'm with these people? Like, if these are people you don't know, okay, that is a whole different kind of emotional lot of baggage. But if these are friends, if these are close friends that know you and you're still cancelling on them, why? They know you. You don't have to turn up with a mask on. You can just turn up as yourself. If you're having a crappy day, you can show up having a crappy day. When you are literally cancelling and procrastinating and stopping yourself from doing the things that you actually do really want to do, what is it that's stopping you? Like, I'm not going to lie, it's really, really difficult. You do need to take that one teeny tiny step, not a leap. You're not jumping into the abyss. You're not jumping off a cliff. You are taking one teeny tiny step. And that step may be, yes, that step may be, I'd love to come out next week, or I'd love to go for that walk. It is, and I'm not denying it. I'm not denying it. Because when you're in that bubble and you feel like absolute dog toffee, you do not want to take that step and go see people. But from personal experience, I can absolutely tell you that if you do, it will flip on its side. Because honestly, excuse me, honestly, when you feel like utter dog toffee and you decide that actually I am going to go out and I'm going to go and meet that person for a coffee, or we're going to go for that walk, you have the conversation, you're out in the fresh air, you're having a little bit of caffeine or your tea or whatever you're having, you have that conversation, but you are connecting. And when you're connecting, my gosh, it just makes such a difference. And taking yourself out of that moment and just saying yes and moving forward, even if you don't want to, even if you don't want to, but you do want to because that's in your back of your head. And this is where all these blooming emotions are going through. You've got the chimp, the derailing, the runaway carriage, all these things. They're going on and on and on, spiraling around like a blinking. I don't even know what to say. I can't even think of the analogy. Anyway, you've got all these things going on. But actually, you say yes, you go for the coffee, you have the conversation, you walk away from that feeling 20, 30, 40, 500 times better because do you know what? You've taken yourself out of the box for one. And two, you've had a conversation that you thought was going to be absolutely rubbish, but it's not. And not only is it not rubbish, you've walked away with it. Oh, yeah, some tiny little solutions or some teeny tiny wins. And that is amazing. Okay. That is amazing. When you take all these steps, think about your body, think about what you're going through and what might be like kind of going on when you're going through this. So if you are in that moment where you don't want to do something and you're in that moment where you're like, oh, I just can't, I just can't. No, it's just too much. That is your nervous system. That is your nervous system coming up with a plan to try and protect you. Now, it may have protected you for a very, very, very long time, and we love our nervous system, and our nervous system will continue to help us. However, when it gets to the point when your nervous system is keeping you in a state that is not going to move you forward, that is not good. So, some of the biggest signs you can think of that is a physical aspect of that is feeling overwhelmed, being numb, being very snappy very easily, or being exhausted. And if it is your nervous system and you are exhausted, you've just the automatic response to someone saying something is, I'm not going to do that. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. So this is when you need to be like, I'm in a position, like this is very likely to unlock all your brain. And you're like, okay, this is my train. This is where I'm going. This is the tracks. And this is the derailing, the blooming runaway carriage that is literally taking me somewhere that I don't know. So you've then said, okay, you've taken a moment, taken a big breath, and you're like, person has asked me out for a coffee. Okay. I want to go for that coffee. And then this is when you've got the inner dialects. You've got the train, the driver, you've got the tracks, all these things are like intermixing. Where do I go with it? But take a breath and your body is actually responding because in essence, you do want to go for that coffee. So, what you need to do is think about what your nervous system is trying to do. So, your body is trying to slow the train down. But when your body is trying to slow that train down, you ignore it, you push through it, and then you crash. Come on. We don't want that. We don't want that. We want to pause, and we want to pause instead of pushing. And then what you need to do is like, okay, what do I need right now? I do want to go for that coffee. I am feeling crappy, but I do want to go for that coffee. And I also want to lay out on the table why I'm feeling crappy. And do you know what? You are allowed to do that. And you will not put on anyone else. No one else will feel like you're a burden. Your emotions, your feelings are absolutely valid. And you need to remember that. I think I may have digressed a little bit there, but you know exactly what I'm saying. So when you are in that moment when you like literally crash, what you need to do is pause. Instead of pushing through it, just pause and then be like, okay, what do I actually need right now? And you know, it probably is that coffee, it's that conversation, the connection with your friend, or the connection with, I don't know, someone from school, a colleague, anybody. But do you know what? You have to be able to take that pause. If you don't take that pause, it is not going to happen. So, if we bring it back in then, so as I said earlier, we've got all these different brains, all these different things going on. We've got the runaway carriage, we've got the tracks, and then we've got you. You are the driver of the train, and you need to remember that. So, what happens when you are in that driver's seat? The sooner that you notice that something is happening, the shift will happen. Like nothing happens when everything's perfect. Come on, let's be honest. Life isn't perfect. Some people would love it to be. I'd love it to be. It just doesn't happen. So let's have a think about this. We've got self sabotage is the signal, but self destruction is when we ignore that signal for way too long. And it's another thing you really need to remember is that you don't need to fix everything. We can't fix everything. My goodness, can you imagine how amazing the world could be if we could fix everything? We just can't. But for you, in that time when you've been invited for coffee, you need to remember you don't need to fix anything. You don't need to fix everything. You just need to catch that moment in its entirety. Someone asks you for coffee, you want to go, do not let that bloody runaway carriage get into your brain and derail your thoughts. Because do you know what? You absolutely deserve to have that coffee and the connection. Connection is absolutely key. And I don't need to say that to you because you know that. And if you do know that, that is why you're listening to this podcast, because this podcast is all about connection and love and making sure that other people know that you are not alone on this journey. Again, I have digressed, but don't worry. So you don't need to fix everything. You just need to catch that moment and switch it on its head and make sure that you are able to pause and do what it is that you want to do rather than that self-sabotage mind or that self-destruction kicking in and literally derailing everything. So, excuse me. As you know, when I have a guest on the episode, I always ask them the conductor's question. And today is no different, even though it's just me talking to you. I want to ask you that question. So, if you could sit next to the version of you who first learned these patterns of self sabotage, self destruction, what would you say to them? What would be your advice? What would you do to ensure that they felt that they could move forward and that they weren't stuck? Remember, you are not broken. You've just been running on old tracks. And you really can learn to change direction. And I know This is from somebody that has got lived experience, and my gosh, I could be a self-sabotage queen for so many different reasons, but you don't have to wait for the train to fully derail. Honestly, you can take back control now. And another thing I want you to really, really understand is that all these things, they're not your fault. It's protection, your thoughts, avoidance, your body. Like, each moment is your body trying to protect you from something that has gone on. And do you know what? I don't need to tell you that because I know you know that. However, I just want to reiterate it. I think it's really, really important that we recognize those patterns that are that are the self-sabotage patterns. And when we recognize those patterns, we can kind of look at what is going to help us forward. But like I said, this episode is about when self sabotage turns into self destruction. And when that happens, the self sabotage, the destruction element, is not just about you, it's about everybody else. It means that you've gone from that self sabotage creeping in to other people's lives, whether that be friends, family, loved ones, colleagues. You need to get grip. And by grip, I mean that from the bottom of my heart, the bottom, like really, really low down in my heart. But if you don't learn to move from those patterns of self-sabotage and you go into destruction, that is a really, really bad road to go down. And we don't want you to go down. I don't want you to go down that. I am sending out this love to you tonight. In fact, I'm recording this the night before this episode goes out, which is like ridiculous because all my episodes have been recorded like months in advance. So this is particularly crazy for me. But I do know that I just want you to be able to take a breath. And if you do feel like you're going down the self-sabotage route, or if you've been down that route for a long time and then you're going into self-destruction, you need to think about other people other than yourself. And these are the people that you love. I don't mean Joe Blogs walking past you on the street. Like, your self-sabotage is going to have absolutely no influence on them whatsoever. However, the people that love you may feel that pain, may be influenced by what's going on in your life. So recognize your patterns, reach out to people if you need to. Obviously, there are so many resources out there that will do that for you. Journal. Like, I'm going to start journaling because I think there's so many different things in my mind that's gone like crazy since I've been doing the podcast that I do think I need to start journaling. So I'm going to do that as well. Again, obviously, if there's anything that has hit you hard today, or if you want to reach out to me, then obviously DM me on either Instagram or TikTok, or you can email me lydia@info.ridingthetraumatrain.co.uk. And then there are also so many resources on my website, which is ridingthetraumatrain.co.uk. I appreciate you all, and I'm coming from a place of love when I say I truly understand what you're going through. And if this has resonated, please drop me a message. I would love to speak to you. For now, remember, you are not on this journey alone. Take care. Thank you so much for joining me today on Riding the Trauma Train. I'm Lydia, and I feel privileged to share this space with you. No matter where you are on this train right now, whether it's in survival mode, slowly finding your feet in recovery, or maybe it's somewhere in between, remember, you are not alone in what you're feeling, and you do not have to travel this journey by yourself. So if you'd like to continue traveling together, please follow Riding the Trauma Train wherever you're listening so you can join us at the next stop. Until next time, take care.